Well, welcome to the Birthing Your Greatness Summit. We are absolutely excited about the opportunity to greet you today. Oh gosh, I hope that each and every one of you are having an amazing day. It is noon here in Texas. Aloha to Hawaii. Hello. What's up? I mean, whatever your language is, we're excited to be here. And oh my gosh, I'm in the studio with the breakthrough strategist, Dr. Sandra Steen, guys. Oh my goodness, she is known all over the world as a business consultant and leadership coach. And guys, you get to glean from her today. I hope you have your pens and your paper, and I hope you have your focus ready for this lunchtime. I mean, this is going to be some food you could not buy at your finest restaurant. Dr. Steen, welcome to the Collaborative Use Birthing Your Greatness Summit.
Yes, I love the name, Birthing Your Greatness. That's what it's all about. I love that. Yes, glad to be here.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'm gonna step out the way because I have nothing to do with it. I'm gonna let you work your magic. I'm gonna pull up your PowerPoint, but please take the floor. I'm gonna step back.
Well, thank you and welcome. So glad to be here. And they call me the Breakthrough Strategist. I've gained that title over time. And what I'm here to do is to break through those of you who are looking at getting into six figure and beyond. Maybe you want to be in that 2 comma club. But we're going to talk about this whole idea of closing six figure deals. Now, you might want to know, well, Dr. Steen, what do you know about closing six figure deals? Well, I know a little bit. Let me start by giving you a slide with some logos on it. And on this slide, you will see some deals that I've closed through the years, six figure deals. And these are very, very wonderful, wonderful companies and clients. And I learned a little bit by going through the process, but it was just extremely, extremely exciting to be able to work with clients of this stature. So, yes, the HEBs of the world, fine client, they've won many awards. Frost Bank, the largest bank in Texas, a wonderful client of mine. AT&T and Shell Oil, and you see Royal Caribbean. These are just a few, and this is through the years. And I'm really, really excited that I was able to close a deal with the United States Air Force. Now, it took a minute, but we were able to do it. So I'm here today to take you through some of what I've learned. Can't give it to you all in 30 minutes, but I'm going to really open the vault. And I'm going to give you some of my tried and true techniques. Also, I'm going to be referring to one of my dear, dear friends who's no longer here on the planet, Tim Searcy, who was a business coach of mine for many years. And his brother, his identical twin brother, Tom Searcy, wrote the book on whale hunting, getting the big fish. And he also wrote a book on RFPs, and I'll be referring to some of that information as well. So we're in for a treat. I hope you got your pen and paper ready. And so I'm going to move on into what we're going to talk about. We've got 3 C's, and 3 C's that I want to help you with. I want to help you with clarity, and that is if you're going to close a six-figure deal, you've got to first know yourself. And I'm going to talk about that because that's real important. You got to know how you tend to present, because you're going to run into people who are very different from you. And so we want to remove any blind spots. And I'll talk about that as we move along in pre-sale preparation. You got to know your company. And I'm going to talk specifically about what you need to know about your company to go in. You got to know your product for sure. And there are nuances to the product that you really need to understand. You certainly need to understand your competitors, and you need to understand the potential client. So that's in the clarity realm. So before we move into closing the six-figure deals, we want to be very clear. I love clarity. Clarity is a major currency in business because you can't do what you're unclear about. And so gaining clarity is phenomenally important. And I'll talk about the ways in which you are clear when you go in. You know, every six-figure deal that I've ever closed, I have spent so much time in research. I went in there so clear that it built my confidence. That's the next C. So the confidence is that you move confidently through the sales process. Now, the sales process is monumental. However, if you don't have clarity, knowing the process without clarity won't work. So we're going to talk about what is the confidence that you need as you move through the sales process, and what does that look like? And then the last C is create. And create is we create the fortune through the consistency of follow-up over time. Anybody can close the deal. That's not where the fortune is. The fortune is always in the follow-up. And you and your product and your company must have the integrity to do what you said. Because over time, the word gets out, and you want to make sure that when the word gets out, they say, yes, they deliver what they said. So the fortune's in the follow-up, and that's where the real creating happens. And so we're going to talk about each of those C's. And let me start out with some clarity in pre-sale preparation. So when we talk about pre-sale preparation, and I have facilitated, trained, and coached thousands of salespeople, and I am excited to tell you that many of them went on to make far more money than I've made, but they never forgot some of the basics in which I taught them. You know, with anything, including closing a six-figure deal, you need to be brilliant in your basics, brilliant in the basics. What are the basics? First of all, a great closer understands personality dynamics. I'll say that again. A great closer understands personality dynamics. Now, what are the personality dynamics? I've spent a lifetime studying the temperaments and humanity and understanding emotional intelligence and things like that, because at the essence of everything, I really wanted to know how people think and how they're wired. So when I talk about customer personality dynamics, do you have the big picture person that you need to go in and close them on a big picture and not overwhelm them with many details? They are very ego driven, not to say that that's negative, but it's real. And we need to understand when they are ego driven versus tactical. We also need to understand that personality that's very high energy, they're very charismatic, and guess what? They like to deal with people who are equally charismatic. Now, if you're not that charismatic person, we're hardwired by God. He gave us personalities just like He gave us physical organs and legs and eyes, and all of those things do not change. We have those things. So internally, there's some hardwiring that will make some people be big picture, some people charismatic, and then there is a dominant personality that's very stable. They don't like change. And so if we're going to close six-figure deals and they're the decision makers, we need to understand that we can't go too fast and change too much, because it will kind of set them back. So we need to understand those dynamics. And now the last one is what I call a thought personality. And a thought personality, you really have to do your homework, because they're going to ask you the questions that nobody else asks you. And you certainly need to be prepared. Now, that's just a real quick overview. You want to take a deeper dive on personalities and understanding those, get with us. We have actual courses where you can become certified in knowing these personalities. But, for now, knowing the big picture is a great start and great foundation. Now, the next thing you're going to do in clarity is to activate your conscious language. Whoa! I haven't been in a sales course, and I've been through many sales, and I'm certified in a lot of different sales courses. However, I've never heard them use this particular language. What do I mean? If I go back to the slide before, activating conscious language means this. Before you go into the deal, make sure you have activated the imagination of winning, of getting the deal. What does it look like? Who are you talking to? Who's around you? What are the smells? What is the excitement? I mean, create the imagination that produces the outcome. Now, I do that work with a lot of people that I coach, and I'm going to tell you, it's very, very important. I find that we do need somebody to help us with that. Now, I understand this, and yet I need people to keep me reminded of my conscious language. What am I imagining to happen? So, you got a picture of the personalities, and you know your own personality. Very, very important. What blind spots might be on the back of your neck. You've heard me use the example. You got the back of your neck going on. You can't see it. Everybody else can see it. Is something there? You need help. Somebody to tell you. So get the back of the neck thing operating so you know clearly how you present. Now, the next thing that you're going to do in clarity is you're going to determine the goals and objectives and any fiduciary responses. Are there any legal ramifications? I just presented in 2019, I presented a RFP. It was a six-figure deal, and they were driven by fiduciary responses. Everything had a legal E to it. My pre-sale preparation had to be very familiar with what the laws were regarding their industry. So make sure you've done that. And now, as part of your clarity, what is the multi-tiered communication process? For instance, are you going to go in and it's just, first of all, a nice meeting to find out what it is they're looking for, and then you come back with an RFP, a proposal? Is it going to be several meetings before that happens? Get a clear picture of the multi-tier communication. Why? Because the bigger the sale, the longer it takes to close it. The bigger the sale, the longer it's going to take to close it. And also, it's going to take multi meetings. It's not just a one meeting close. Now, you might do that for low end types of products, but for a high end deal where we are talking six figures and above, it's going to take some time, and it may take multi meetings. So get a clear picture on that. Now, on our clarity, so we've done our pre-sale preparation. On the next slide, let's talk about this. What is the clarity in the readiness for the RFP? Now, an RFP, request for a proposal. Well, first of all, let me just say this about RFPs, because I've been burnt and I don't want you to be burnt. If that proposal is something where it does not fit into your big picture goal, I don't care how big the numbers look and the deal looks, don't waste your time. The other thing that I'm learning about RFPs is this. If you don't know someone in the organization that's attached to the RFP process, double think it. Now, I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm saying the odds are that many times an RFP is kind of a, standard process, but the decision might be already made. It does happen. I don't want to bust your bubble, but I want you to have reality checks. And the reality check is the RFP that's going to make most sense is one where you have some inside connection. And if you don't have an inside connection, create one. And I've done that. I didn't have the inside connection, but my pre-sale preparation was, let me network with the people in the department that are going to decide this decision. And that was even before I put the RFP together. Now, here's the readiness for the RFP process. Does it have a compatibility with your strategic plan? So if you look at the RFP and it's going to take you way outside of what your strategy is, even though it's big numbers, it doesn't make it good numbers for you. So it should be compatible with your strategic plan. I can't tell you how many times I've looked at an RFP and said it's not compatible with where I want to go and what I want to do right now. And that's okay. That's a good question to ask yourself. Also, can you accommodate the company size? Now, when I say accommodate the company size, I had a staff of 15 people. And I don't have that now because I'm working on a different model. But at the height of my career, I had 15 full-time employees and I had 25 speakers that were employed from all over the world. So we would just bring them in. So when I looked at an RFP for leadership training and things like that, I had to look at the company size in terms of how we deliver and could we deliver what they needed for the number of people they're asking me to train or coach. So when we talk about accommodating company size, you could be a one-man show, but you're outsourcing help. And that may give you the ability to meet the needs. So don't look at, I only have 15 people. As a matter of fact, when I had 15 people on staff, I also won the contract for one of the largest employers in the world, and that was Walmart. And I only had 15 people, and yes, they employed millions, but it's okay. The accommodation is based on your strategy and how you deliver. Can you deliver excellence? Because remember, the fortune's in the follow-up. You can close a deal and sell a bill of goods, but you want to make sure that after the deal is sold, can you deliver exactly what you said? And as you have heard, and I use this often, I like to underpromise and overperform. In other words, promise something wonderful, but deliver something much more than what you said. That keeps you in the loop for repeat business and the next big contract. Know your financial history. There are going to be times where the company, depending on how large they are, they may vet you in terms of your financial stability. And so the RFP may even tell you that you have to have 3 years or you have to have a certain score. So know what financial history is going to be expected of you based on the RFP that you're responding to. Are you compatible with their culture? Now, I'm going to put a check mark by that and you put a star by that because all business is not the right fit for you. And I'm learning, and this is coming with experience the older you get. I don't do business with companies I could never make happy. Because one, if I can't make them happy, I'm not going to be happy and they're not happy. So it's not a good model for two people who could never be made happy to do business. So there are cultures where you see right away, I have a disconnect with this culture. You want to double think, even though it's six figures and beyond, double think if this is the right time for me to go after this business. This is the right company. And I love the fact that every client that I've worked with, there's been compatible cultures, and that made the work so much fun. And also get your client testimonials ready, particularly in the industry that you're going after. You're going to include those in your RFP, but have those testimonials ready because that's all part of the clarity process before you even go after the business. So you've got personalities, you've got your conscious language right, you've got the right affirmations and imagination, you know your personality, you also know some of the personalities of the people you're about to deal with, and now you've got clarity for the RFP process. So let's move on. Let's talk about what else you need to do to get ready for this RFP. Now, the RFP is a tedious process and it can take time. I have always employed people, outsourced to people who do this for a living because they're brilliant at it. They love to do it, and they'll take all of the information that I gather and make it look pretty. So I'm not going to talk a lot about the make pretty process because I think you can hire that out if you don't have it internally. But here's what you do need to understand as you're going into the RFP process. What claims can you make about your product? For me, one of the claims that I made about the product, about my product, that made my deliverable very different from some of the other competitors that I had to go up against was that I always presented a customized approach. Many of the companies that did what I did, they were bringing it off the shelf. So I made a claim about customization was not just taking what we've done for everybody else and changing the name and the logo. I made a claim that our customization would mean that we would do assessments, we would do focus groups. We're going to look internally. We're going to ask the vision casters what it is they want to do. And we're going to bring a team in and we're going to spend time on the customization process. So when we deliver a curriculum, it is so customized, it's going to sound like an internal product. That was a claim. Not many companies were making that claim. Was it labeled? It could be, but because we had done it for so many times and so long, we became very proficient and effective and still we were cost effective in how we delivered this very intensive process. So what claims can you make about your product? Look around. What do you do better than 10,000 others? Doesn't mean that you make anybody look bad. It's about making you look good. What is your strength? How does your claim compare to industry or market standards? So when I go into a process to close the big deal, I know what the standard is. I know that there are people pulling off the shelf. I know that they've got some pretty sexy looking materials and things like that. Well, guess what? Because I did not put the expense on all of the gadgets and bells and whistles and the pretty, I made the claim that you're going to get one of the best meals you could ever see. And yes, there will be tablecloths on the table, and we'll serve it with silverware, but we don't put the money in how the outward building looks. We put it on the inside of the building. In other words, our curriculum design is going to be so well suited. And it's not the prettiest because there's pretty, but the pretty was empty in terms of content. And so take even what might be a lesser value and make it a strong advantage in the marketplace. What makes your product unique or superior? Before you pick up an RFP, before you make a presentation, all of these things you should know. And you should be able to always evaluate your product in terms of money, time, and risk. So every product that you are talking to a business for profit, okay? If you're talking a business for profit, they want to know, how will this make money? How will this save time? And how will this minimize risk? And you should be able to talk about that in regards to your product. So let's move on. Moving through the RFP process. So now you've got the clarity, but where do you find these RFPs? How do you even know where the business is? So I want to give you some sources that I pulled in my research, and Tom Searcy, who is a guru, cites some of these, and I've talked to some of the best and brightest, and this is the information that they've given me. Now, I will tell you that most of the time when I've done an RFP, it's been a referral. And that's an ideal situation because remember, I told you at the very beginning, when you're doing an RFP, you want to know somebody. And so I've been fortunate that the referral process was referred to me. They wanted it, even though I would be competing with many other companies that do the same thing. But let's talk about some sources. There's grants.gov. You can go there for government RFPs. There also governmentbids.com. You can go there also for government RFPs. There's stateandfederalbids.com, onvia.com, and it goes on. You can also partner with the university. Now, let's say that you have a product that's an intellectual property. So for me, it would be leadership. It's an intellectual property type of product. I have also partnered with both junior colleges and universities. And basically, what I do is I partner with them for the leadership, and I'm going to help them to do internal leadership. And they, in turn, will help point me to other corporations that are coming to them for types of training and whatever your product is. And then together, you can bid on the RFP. I did that with the University of California, and we did so much good work by partnering together. So use that as an idea. Is there a university, a junior college, someplace like that? I've also had a bid with school districts. And now, when I did the school district, that was when I was doing a cookie. And I did an RFP process to have the cookies served to the kids during lunchtime. And that was a different kind of RFP. But again, dig deep, you'll find it. Social media is a place, because even on LinkedIn, there are places where you will find an RFP request. And so you can look on things like LinkedIn. Politicians, yeah, you can hug a politician and they can tell you what's coming. I've had some elected officials that were saying that they're going to be RFPing the process of educating their leaders for a city. And so that's one way that you can find it. And of course, you can find it through friends and network. So moving through the RFP process, this is where you find it. Now, the other thing that you can certainly do is create the need for your product by cold calling key people, key decision makers, and you're educating them to a need that they may not be aware of. And then they may create an RFP process. And I've done that many times. And I'll tell you why that's a winner, because when I help them create the RFP process, what advantage do you think I have? Of course, I'm going to create the RFP process toward my advantage of getting it. And even though it has to go out to my competitors, it's already written in terms of what my advantages are. So you can certainly do that as well. Now, as we move from moving through the RFP process, we're going to move into the confidence of presenting. Now, I could spend a lot more time, and I'm just going to give you an overview, because one of the things that I know about selling, having done it for many years and having certified and trained many people that have done far more than what I've done, but they have said that what they've learned has been lifelong learning. Why? Because I believe in a sales process. Not only do I believe in it, it works. And so what the sales process is really about is the confidence to analyze the gaps. Where are the gaps between where the client is today versus where they want to go? And as you are analyzing the gap, your product should move me from where I am to where I want to go. And that's what will cause people to want to buy your product. You have sufficiently analyzed the gaps. You uncover the impacts. What are the impacts that will come as a result of your product being utilized by the potential client? So analyze the gaps, and in a good sales presentation, you're also going to discuss payoffs. So remember that your product is analyzed in terms of money, in terms of time and risk. How do we increase our revenue? How do we minimize our time, because time is money? And how do we lessen the risk? Because there may be risk involved in the purchase of your product, but the more you minimize the risk, the more they're interested in hearing more about what you have to offer. Now, I could go through the entire process, but we don't have time because there's a psychology to how you open. There's a psychology to what questions during discovery. How do you inform? There's a psychology to handling the objections and answering the questions. And how do you create urgency for people that are stalling or saying that I need more time when that's really not the issue? There's a real psychology to that. If you've not educated yourself on that process, please do, because that is the winning process. And when you go in brilliant in the basics, you can't be denied. You know, I remember when I was presenting to, I presented to HEB. We did leadership and customer service training for them for 30,000 employees, and that was just marvelous. And then there was this day when I was doing the cookie, and I needed to put the cookie into HEB. We're talking about a large decision process, and I'm having to compete with major products, Nabisco and Oreo, and all of these well-known brands. And here I am with my little cookie that's never been tried. I can't prove that customers want it, and I want ideal shelf. Well, how do you do that? You do that through the process that I'm talking about now. Know yourself, know the personalities. I knew the personality of the buyer. I knew what would make him more money and save him time and lower the risk. I had to study that. And when I came in, guess what happened? I made this wonderful presentation and they said no. And I said, I can appreciate no, but tell me, Mr. Buyer, what would make you say yes to my product? And he told me something that would make him say yes. Guess what I did? I went and did what he said I needed to do. I came back. He said no again. I asked the same question. Tell me what would turn your response to a yes. Well, he told me something else. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no exaggeration in this story that I'm about to tell you the details. I went through that 8 times. And each time he'd tell me one thing that I would do and come back. And then on the 8th time, I closed the deal. So what am I saying to you is that it's never just a one call close. You've got to have your consciousness, your mindset that you're winning over time. See, you can be optimistic for a week, 2 weeks. I've had deals that took me 2 years to close. Now, I had other things in the pipeline, but I never lost the optimism of closing the deal. I just had to be patient. So you will have some deals, and the bigger they are, the longer it can take. In the presentation, let's go to the next slide. We're going to talk about confirming the sale. Remember, I said that the fortune is always in the follow-up. So when we're confirming the sale, you will prioritize next steps. Remember when I talked about selling a product to put on HEB's shelf, and for those of you who have products and you're trying to retail, it can be a minute. It can take a minute. It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of work. It's very, very competitive. And then the profit margins aren't that wide. So you've got to really be clear if this fits into the strategy and the profits that you need to see. All of that's done before you ever make a presentation. But once you've made a presentation, a great 6-figure closer will always prioritize the next steps. Never leave it in the gray. Now, what I did when I was closing on my cookie, my next step was, what would it take for you to say yes? And they always gave me something very, very solid. It was never frivolous, and they weren't stalling, and they weren't just giving me, just a no. They were giving me information, and I would take that information and use it to upgrade my product. So how do you prioritize the next steps? If you're in a multi-tier communication and it's a 6-figure deal on the table, then when you leave the table, You should know what they expect of you, and you should tell them what you expect of them. So if the next process, what I'd like to do is relook at the profit margins that we're offering you. I'd like to look at this in terms of how our product is set up today. And then I'd like to be able to set up the next meeting with you at this date. How does that sound to you? And they must agree, and you should have that date written, and make sure that you're not just meeting with influencers, although meeting with an influencer is important, but make sure you are meeting with a decision maker. Now, here's how I define the decision maker. They have the ability to say yes, and they have the money to back it up. That makes them a decision maker. They have the ability to say yes, and they have the money to make the purchase. Otherwise, if they can say yes, but they don't have the money, they're not a true decision maker in the sense of you closing that deal. So prioritize, confirm your expectations, and always the fortunes in the follow-up. How will you determine what happens once that product is delivered? I always said this, whenever I delivered training, I've talked about the cookie. That was another life. That was more of a side hustle. But my main delivery was facilitation, leadership, coaching. We did customer service and sales. And remember, I told you I had 15 people full time, 25 speakers all over the world. But in the follow up, I would always say this to my clients. We're not the company just to deliver a workshop and then you don't hear from us again. Now, there were many companies that was their business. I didn't knock that, but I said, here's our business. Our business is results, the end result. And we know that just because we set your employees in a classroom for 2 weeks, for a week, 2 days, we know that that's not going to change what needs to change in order for you to get the bottom line result that you're hiring us to get. So we would always design a follow-up program. There was an entry level so that we could assess and understand how to customize. But then we would deliver what we had written as a customized curriculum. And then after it was over, we had a follow-up. The people that will be happiest with you and your product are the people you measure their responses. What am I saying? Do a survey. A lot of times, people aren't happy with what you said you were going to deliver because they didn't take time to measure the results. And then when they see the results, they say, oh, this was better than what I thought. Why? Because data, it can make the determination between what failed and what succeeded. So don't deny the data. Have the follow-up process and put it in the RFP. Make it a part of your deal, and it will also set you apart from your competition. Now, so you've done the pre-sale preparation, you've got your mindset for success, because if you're going to imagine, think about this, if you're going to imagine not succeeding, then don't even go to the table, because the imagination is going to tell the brain what to dispatch. So we've got to see ourselves winning. You know, you can't get as a batter up position. Can't be, well, I got my bat down low and here comes the ball at me. I don't think I'm going to hit it. Well, you're not. You know, the man that says he can is right, and the man who says he can't. I think that was Henry Ford that said that. It's a great quote over time. But so you got to make sure that that mindset for winning is in place. That is crucial. And you got all of that. You're going through an RFP. Make sure that, of course, you want to make sure the RFP is dynamic looking, and make sure you've got testimonials and all of that. And now when you get into the presentation, make sure you understand the sales process. If you don't, study. We've got information for you. If you want to take a deeper dive on selling, we can certainly do that for you. But you want to make sure that you understand the dynamics and the psychology of people. What's the quote? The relationship is the real currency. Now, I'm not sure who to give that credit for, because I've heard that quote many years ago and I've heard it recently. But all I know about the quote is right, that relationships are the real currency of business. So you want to build that relationship through your follow-up. And now you are ready to break through. breakthrough. So I want to thank you for spending time with me today on how to close that six-figure deal. If you'd like more information, it's up sandrasteen.com, or you can go through Collaborative U and get the replay on this as well. So thank you so much. And if we have any questions, I think, Dee, we can answer questions if there are any questions. And thank you for this time.
Oh.
A lot of information over a short period of time.
No, not a lot of information, but oh my gosh, amazing information. Like, I'm sitting here, okay, I'm working the slides, I'm taking notes.
And you did a great job, by the way. Thank you.
Oh my
You
gosh.
multitask.
And I'm looking at the audience, I'm looking at what's happening. I don't see questions. I think everybody else is like, okay, you know, I've got some comments. Amazing presentation. Absolutely. Guys, I don't know about you, but
I love this stuff. I
oh,
do. You know, I don't
and
do
we
this
felt
every
that.
day. I love this. You know, even when I've gotten prophetic words, Dee, where they go, wow, you're an amazing salesperson. Everywhere I go here, you're amazing. So I love it because it's really people. It's understanding people and how to give them what they need to succeed. Well, I love that. And that's what selling is. You know, so
Oh
uh,
my gosh. Listen. When I tell you, when this summit is over, and I absolutely and I think we're going to drop it next week. I'm still trying to work with the team to see, but when you guys see what we're going to bring to you to have an opportunity, you know, I just got off of the Collaborative UTV, and we were talking about the wealth gap in
yeah,
Black America.
yeah,
And the biggest problem is lack of information and
yeah,
I mean, the
yeah.
word says people perish for a lack of
Lack of
knowledge.
knowledge.
And
Yeah.
when you have this type of ammunition, I mean, when I tell you, you came out guns blazing, I mean,
And
if
I
you
got
can't,
so much more, Dee.
I
I got
already
so much
know.
more. I got so
I
much more
know.
because, oh my God, I'm like, I've seen so many salespeople who don't understand personalities, and I go, oh my God. Marcus Holmes is one of my brilliant mentorees, and that guy took that information. He became he broke every record, became the top salesperson in the industry, not just the company. And when they asked him, please tell us what it is that you know that we don't know. He said, I sat with Dr. Steen and I learned personalities, and it changed the trajectory of everything that I was doing. And I'm telling you, it is so important. And so many salespeople are so tied to how they want to sell, and they don't understand how to sell to somebody different than them. And so you miss all the opportunities that are different from you. I love it.
Absolutely.
One of the
Oh,
challenges is selling to somebody who's very detailed. Now, I'm very creative, but when I get that detailed person, I do my homework, and I love it when I see their smiles because I know that what I'm doing is working, and I took the time. You got to put the work in. You know, it's like with any relationship. If you're married to somebody
got
different from you,
to.
you got to celebrate the difference, ladies and gentlemen. Not work against it, but work with it.
Dr. Steen, I don't have your slide up, but please tell the people, because I have Solomon. He said I would like to hear more. Hey, listen, tell them how they can reach you, and then absolutely, I'm going to put on there how they can join the Facebook group, because the Facebook group is where we're going to be making the major announcements. I mean, we'll make it everywhere, but the Facebook group, if you're in that group, you'll get more information quicker and faster. You'll be the first to know. Okay, but how can they reach you, Dr. Steen?
Yes, they can go to sandrasteen.com. So it's my name, one word, .com, sandrasteen.com. Now, for those of you who want more information, I am a customized person. So what I'm going to do is when you go to my website, you click on consult now, and there are some questions that you will answer, and then I'll send you my scheduling link. And I do this with no charge. So I spend 30 minutes to 45 minutes with you and really understand what your need is. And then I'm going to be the first to tell you I'm a fit or I'm not a fit. Now, if I tell you I'm a fit, I'm a breakthrough strategist.
Come on.
And if I
Wow.
tell you I'm going to fit, you're going to see breakthrough. You're going to see exactly the result that you're looking for. But if I can't, I'll tell you where to go. But I just need you to answer those questions, and somebody will be in contact with you within 24 hours. You'll have that link, and you can contact me, and we'll sit down and talk further.
Dr. Steen, oh, let me just thank you so much for accepting the invitation
My
to
pleasure.
be not just a part of the Collaborative U, but to be a part of this Birthing Your Greatness Summit. For those of you, y'all, there is no replay. If you want the replay, though, you can get it. I think it's like $10 to order the replays for all of our shows because
What a deal.
I know, and
What a
because it's
deal.
not
Yeah.
at this point, in the midst of what we're going through, just like what you said, like we're about people, and we want to give you what we can give you to give you that jump start. But
Yeah.
don't stop there. There will be an amazing announcement coming about what the Collaborative U is birthing next. We are birthing a mastermind, you guys, where you can sit with people like Dr. Steen and just be mind blown at how, just like she said, she's coached people that have gone farther than her. But that's because usually when you're an amazing teacher and coach, your students always succeed far greater than you. And that's just a
Yeah.
testament of who you are. And so we thank you so much for joining us today. We thank each and every one of you. Remember, there is no replay, but if you want the replay, you can go to bit.ly/BYG Summit and order that replay there. That's bit.ly/BYG Summit, and you can get that replay there. Oh my
Dee, can
goodness.
I make one quick comment?
You sure
I want to
can.
tell them
Absolutely.
this. I have a real rare opportunity where I'm just going to work with, I have 2 openings. And
Mm.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to certify you as a facilitator to do what I do. Now, I
Oh,
have one lady who was such an expert closer. She closed me on doing that for her. And I said, but if I'm going to do it for you, I'm going to open it up for 2 more people, and we'll do 3 people. And what I'm going to do is I've never done this, and I know this is going to be brilliant. And I'm going to teach you and certify you as a facilitator. So you're going to know how to do it live. You're going to know how to do it online. And I'm going to take you behind the scenes to help you to learn how people learn. And so I just want to say that, yeah, there's just this is not a cattle call. So for those 2 special people that want to do that, we have that ability, and you can go to my website and do the consult now.
wow, guys. Listen, it's all about opportunity, and when opportunity knocks,
Yes.
I got a me right here. Look at that. Kim, you better go to that you better go to www.sandrasteen.com and fill out that app, okay? Fill out
Because
that consult app.
I won't be doing this again. This is a course I've been teaching through the years. I've certified PhDs and all of this, but I'm in a season where I can do it for we're going to do 8 sessions, and by golly, you're going to have a lot of homework, but you're going to come out of that really being an expert facilitator. So that is exciting, exciting, exciting.
Wow. And I don't want to let the cat out of the bag because I haven't even talked to you about it. But just after listening to this course, we've got to do something major on teaching people how to close corporate deals and becoming experts, because there's so many people with products out here and you're trying to sell them to the one person here, the one person there. But until you recognize the value of selling it to business and getting your product out there on a larger scale, you'll never understand it. So stay tuned, guys. Stay tuned. Well, this is the end of day 3 of the Birthing Your Greatness conference. Don't forget to join us each and every day from, it started September 21st. It will end on October the 16th. Guys, to the next 2 days, we've got the power couple in real estate. They're coming up with information on real estate and credit. So guys, do not miss the opportunity to get this information free, and then stay tuned because we've got a big announcement coming. Thank you again, Dr. Steen, for sharing
Thank
your time
you.
with us. You have been amazing. All right, guys, we are out, and peace.